Welcome to the 36th reading of my memoir, The Innocence of Guilt. Teenage Aches and Pains. The ironing had to be done once a week, and believe it or not, I took on the job and enjoyed it. The only thing I did well to help Mum. I ironed the wrinkles out of everything, wishing all the time that the wrinkles of my life could be as easily obliterated. Sunday was traditionally a day of rest. The British Good Housekeeping Institute didn't have anything in their schedule for that day. Even if Mum did follow their advice, Sunday allowed her no rest. She spent the morning cooking Yorkshire pudding, Brussels sprouts and a beef joint with onions masquerading as worms in the gravy, and spent the rest of the afternoon in the scullery clearing up the mess. I don't recall helping her with any of it. So my summer holidays passed by in a boring fashion because of my lack of friends and also because of my increasing remoteness towards my mother. We experienced a short period of closeness, but I quickly became frustrated with her. Over the next couple of years, I tried to get my mother to change the style of her clothes, her hair, and to wear makeup and a bra when such things were all so new and exciting to me, but she wasn't interested. She didn't have anything to dress up for, she very often told me. The shops were her only outing. All sorts of silly little things bothered me about her. If I buttered the bread for tea time, and she said I put too much on, which I probably did, and she scraped most of it off when she thought I wasn't looking. If I saw her leaning against the table with one foot wrapped around her ankle, periodically changing legs as if she was a stork. If I asked her to sit down for 5 minutes and she claimed she didn't have time as she was too busy, although she wasn't doing anything but waiting for the kettle to boil for one of her endless cups of tea. If she wrung her hands when describing some altercation with somebody over something in one of the shops, at the same time biting her lips, no doubt to keep the blood flowing so she didn't have to buy lipstick. Poor Mum. It seemed impossible for her to attain my idea of perfection. I found it difficult to be close to her. I didn't kiss her or hug her or tell her I loved her. Out in the street, I saw girls literally hanging onto their mothers, laughing and joking with them. They appeared to be part of an affectionate feminine club Mum and I were denied membership to. My grandfather loved me, but an 80-year-old man is far removed from a teenager's view of the world. My dear Din-Din sat in his chair with his pipe in his mouth, wisely silent on the constant issues I raised with Mum, probably wishing he could have the little granddaughter back who happily followed him around the graveyards or the cattle market, needing no more than the occasional ice cream to keep her happy. My brother and I were old enough to know that our parents did not have a happy marriage. When we were small, Mum used to sing around the house in her high soprano voice, creating an air of gaiety. She hadn't sung in a long time. I could hardly imagine that she once stepped up onto a stage with a group of nurses after the war and sang and danced to Happy Days Are Here Again. Most nights we heard our dad's raised voice, louder than the music from the speaker wired up to our room, accompanied by the thump of his fist down hard on the table, causing the milk bottle sitting on it to rattle. The music of fear and uncertainty. We nervously glanced at one another from across our beds and held our breath, hoping the row wouldn't escalate. It usually didn't, but the tension between our parents did have the uncanny ability to creep all the way up the stairs and inch its way into my body. I complained of various aches and pains, nothing to do with the regular monthly ones associated with my periods. Painful muscles in my neck and shoulders that prevented me lifting up my head, so I walked around with the slouchy posture that my father constantly harped on about. My thighs ached so much I found it difficult to climb the stairs. Mum reluctantly took me to the doctor's surgery after I drove her crazy with my moans and groans. She thought something serious might be wrong with me, but he could find nothing out of the ordinary. Growing pains, he said. With all the distress in the family, most of it initiated by me, I developed a fanciful notion that my mother lied to me about my parentage. I was adopted, an alien child. No wonder I didn't fit in. For a while I failed to consider the obvious that my father and I were so alike in nature, adoption wouldn't be anywhere near the reason for the difficulties we experienced. Then I wondered if my parents were forced to get married. I counted back 9 months from the date of my birth, and there was no way my mother could have been pregnant with me before her wedding day. Small comfort. On one of my boring summer afternoons, while Mum pottered around in the scullery, I rummaged in the top drawer of the sideboard in the living room and pulled out from the back a small black book, a diary kept by her at the time she and my dad were courting. Fascinated, I skimmed quickly through it, hoping Mum wouldn't notice before I'd read it all. A few pages in her unsteady handwriting expressing her growing affection for Gilbert, and then nothing but blank pages. It appeared they decided to get married shortly after she began the diary, and I was disappointed there weren't more pages for me to consume. I stuffed the book back into the drawer, but she called out from the scullery, "You can read it if you like." I wrote that when I thought my life was going to be perfect. A pause. "Little did I know how it would turn out," she finished with a definite note of sarcasm, and continued with her chores. Snatched from my romantic reverie, I asked her what she meant, as if I didn't already know. She seemed reluctant to talk more then, but over the course of the summer, with my prodding, she opened up her heart to me, along with snippets of history from both sides of our family. Din also revealed some little bits and pieces of the past. I wanted to know all of it, happy or sad. Afterwards, even though I knew my family didn't have the monopoly on rejection, confusion, sadness, and lost dreams, it had its fair share. Thank you for listening. Please feel free to subscribe, like, or comment on this reading, and hopefully you will tune in to the next one. Bye for now.